It's time for another VHS haul. I have a little bit of a secret obsession. I've had it for a long time. And this VHS haul video is a little different. These aren't videos that I've recently picked up. These are ones I already had in my collection. A lot of people have asked what else is in my collection, so I figured I'd kind of change up the VHS haul videos a little and just show off my collection. And I figured the first one of those to do would to show off a little crush I've always had. And that crush has been on Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's right, I'm going to show you all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies I have. I've always been a huge fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and the movies of his that I really like are his earlier work before he started becoming more mainstream and then ruined his career by asking for $20 million a picture, which banished him to the $5 bin at Walmart from then on. So I'm going to show you my VHS collection of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and they're all my favorites. I don't think I could pick one. So here they are in no particular order. First up, we have Kickboxer. This is a great Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. This came out in 1989 in Jean-Claude's heyday. With the help of his brother and trainer Kurt Van Damme, American kickboxing champion Eric Sloan, Dennis Alexio, arrives in Thailand to defeat the Eastern Warriors at their own sport. His opponent, a ruthless fighter and Thai champion Tong Po, not only defeats Eric but brutally delivers a series of illegal blows which paralyze him for life. Crazed with anger, Kurt vows revenge, at any cost. But first he must learn the ancient techniques of kickboxing from Thai master Jan Chow. While suffering Jan's grueling and painful training, Kurt's only comfort is the company of his master's niece, Miley. Hoping to disrupt Kurt's training, Tong Po abducts the innocent girl and viciously assaults her. Kurt, believing he's ready to meet Tong Po in the ring, challenges the champion, who agrees on one condition. They must do battle in the ancient manner, with fists bound in rope and covered in broken glass. Their battle to the finish, born of lust, power, and revenge, will leave only one man standing.
He's going to pay for this. Tell me where he is.
Only way you'll find him is inside the ring, and you are not good enough!
I'm going to try to remember. In all of these films, there's always a scene that explains away his accent. In this one, the two brothers have a discussion while they're training out in this park in Thailand, and they say, well, I stayed in America with Dad while you went to France with Mom. So that's how they explain his accent away in Kickboxer. But probably my favorite scene in this movie, besides the fight at the end where they have the rope and the glue and the broken shards of glass, is the dance scene in the club. which he revisited. I think it was on Jimmy Fallon. I'm not sure. I'll try to find the clip and I'll stick it in here. But that dance slash fight scene was great.
Yes.
Kickboxer. The next one is another classic. It's Bloodsport. Pretty much Jean-Claude Van Damme's breakout movie. Came out in 1988. This has some of the worst dubbing at the beginning that I've ever seen in the film. I don't even know if they were just replacing the actor's voice or if the actor on set was speaking a different language. It's really hard to tell, but those flashback scenes are just terribly ADR'd.
You didn't flinch. You have fighting spirit.
You're not gonna call the cops?
Not if we make a deal.
What kind of a deal?
A rocking, socking martial arts saga. Bloodsport takes you where few have ever gone, inside the hidden Hong Kong arena where elite combatants clash in the Kumite, the little-known but hotly contested world championship of full contact fighting. No Westerner had ever won this titanic tournament until the arrival of iron-willed American Frank Dux. Bloodsport is his story, a true-life triumph of bedrock courage, uncanny skill, and steadfast loyalty. As Dux, Jean-Claude Van Damme also enjoyed a true-life triumph. This role perfectly suited his appealing mix of physique, charm, and martial arts expertise, and kickboxed his career as a commanding box office action favorite into overdrive. Van Damme has dazzled audiences ever since playing heroes who simply refuse to lose. And when Van Damme's Dux steps onto the mat, Bloodsport isn't just a sport, it's a war. Probably my favorite scene in this one, he kind of has a Rocky-esque montage after Jackson ends up in the hospital and he sees Bolo Young, who plays Chong Li, he sees his reflection in the bus window. That's it's an interesting scene. But also when he's in the like the lounge area of the hotel and these other two fighters are hitting on the reporter character and he snatches the coin out of his hand. That's a good one.
Ready?
Go. Ha! You lose, American asshole.
Looks like she's mine.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker is in this too.
It's not good enough. Frank, read my lips. We are taking you back now.
I can't remember how they explain away his accent in this. I'm not sure if they do, if they just kind of gloss over it. Bloodsport.
Go! Bottom one.
This one isn't one of his more well-known ones. It's Death Warrant.
Welcome to hell!
Very dark film. I mean, there's serial murders and prison corruption and a whole host of just really, really dark content in this film, which is probably why I like it so much. Jean-Claude Van Damme faces his biggest challenge yet, a maximum security prison. The international superstar spin kicks his way through this action-adventure powerhouse that explodes with death-defying stunts and non-stop martial arts wizardry. Van Damme is Officer Louis Burke, a roguish police detective who goes undercover to investigate a series of inmate murders at Harrison Penitentiary. Posing as a prisoner, Burke encounters brutal inmates, corrupt guards, death, and betrayal at every turn. But when he unearths the shocking secret behind the penitentiary's inner workings, Burke must attempt a daring escape that pits him against not only hundreds of murderous inmates, but also a deadly enemy from his own past. The action moves at a blistering pace, building to a climax that must be seen to be believed. Filled with the same power, intensity, and skill as its unstoppable hero, Death Warrant is your ticket to a Van Damme good time. I like that line. Van Damme good time.
It's not a threat. It's a promise.
In this one, they explain away his accent by saying that he is actually French-Canadian and he is coming down to Los Angeles or something to work on this murder case. So he's almost like a consultant, but then they use him as an actual undercover officer for some reason, which I'm sure comes with it a whole host of jurisdictional problems, but it's a movie, so okay. Robert Guillaume is in this.
Why did you do it? I don't know. Maybe I'm going soft in my old age.
And then Patrick Kilpatrick plays the villain, well, the main villain at the end, the Sandman.
Wakey, wakey, Burke! Time to bleed!
This came out in 1990. If you haven't seen this one, I definitely recommend it. It's got some crazy shit in it. Death Warrant.
Come on!
Oh, and I love this one. We've got Hard Target.
He's obviously not someone we should underestimate.
1993, I think. Directed by John Woo, so there's doves. This is a great, good, bad movie. I mean, it's more good than bad, but fuck, there's so much crazy shit in this. You've got Lance Henriksen playing the bad guy. You've got Wilford Brimley playing this, like, Cajun grandpa.
Here, drink. But do not spill. It killed the grass.
It's awesome. International superstar Jean-Claude Van Damme teams up with world-famous action film director John Woo in his American debut for this electrifying thriller. The thrill of the hunt. It's the ultimate drug, and the more intense the rush, the higher the price. Banking on this equation is sadistic mercenary Emile Fouchon, played by Lance Henriksen, who is recruiting homeless combat veterans for the amusement of his clients, bored tycoons who will pay $500,000 to stalk and kill the most challenging prey of all, man. So when beautiful Natasha Binder, Yancey Butler, comes to New Orleans in search of her missing father, she gets more than she bargained for. Together, she and merchant sailor Chance Boudreaux, Van Damme, stumble upon this unspeakably evil Safari. A martial arts expert and former vet himself, Chance is the one man Fouchon can't seem to beat, which makes him the ultimate trophy. Laced with dark humor, slam-packed with bone-crunching fights, and blazing with spectacular firepower, Hard Target hits the bullseye. Big time! Oh my god, these descriptions are great. I think my favorite line in the entire film is said by Lance Henriksen, and they blow up this house where Wilford Brimley is living, and he calls a guy, he says, "You are a fucking buffalo." That's my favorite line in the entire movie. You are a fucking buffalo.
You are a fucking buffalo.
It's great. And it's pretty obvious how they explain away his accent. He's Cajun. French Cajun. There you go. Hard Target. Love this film.
Come on!
Oh, and here we go. Another lesser-known Van Damme's early work is Cyborg. This movie's awful. But it has some great action and some interesting set pieces, and there's some really cool shots in this film done with lighting and rain and stuff. Some of them just really stick out in my head. There's this one where he's doing the splits above this guy in the sewers and he's holding a knife. It's just, I think it's shot so cool. This came out in 1989. Here's the first hero of the 21st century. Martial arts wizard Jean-Claude Van Damme, from Time Cop, that came out way later. Martial arts wizard Jean-Claude Van Damme carves out a dazzling new domain as the future's most fearsome warrior in this adrenaline-charged sword and sci-fi action-adventure thriller. Deteriorating from social anarchy and a deadly plague, 21st century America has descended into a seething, barbaric nightmare. Only Pearl Prophet, played by Dale Haddon, a beautiful half-human, half-robot, has the knowledge necessary to develop a vaccine. But during her desperate quest to gather data and bring a cure to the world, Pearl is captured by cannibalistic flesh pirates, capitalized flesh pirates, who plot to keep the antidote for themselves and rule the globe. Now, only the awesome fighting skills of saber-wielding hero Gibson Rickenbacker, played by Van Damme, can rescue her and save what remains of civilization. Featuring amazing action sequences, Cyborg is a wild ride from start to finish, a post-apocalyptic high-tech thriller that delivers an explosive, shocking, and bloody battle against the ultimate evil. And ultimate evil is flesh pirates. And this was the actual last theatrical release for Cannon Films before they went bankrupt in 1987. I don't think it was just because of this film. It's just because of a lot of shit that they went bankrupt, but this was the last one. And this film kind of is birthed out of two other films that never got made. The first one was a planned sequel to Masters of the Universe, and the other one was a live-action Spider-Man film. But because they were running out of money, they had to cancel both of those films, and so this film was thrown together to use that money and all the production that was already done, and especially the costumes. Almost all the costumes in this were supposed to be for Masters of the Universe 2. And this movie also has the dubious honor of being on Roger Ebert's most hated list. Cyborg. It's got a few good things going for it. It's not completely awful, in my opinion, but I'm a little biased. Next up we have probably Van Damme's first huge breakout hit into the mainstream, and that was the film he did with Dolph Lundgren, which is Universal Soldier.
I mean, there hasn't been a storm.
Two of the biggest action stars are together for the first time in one explosive adventure. Jean-Claude Van Damme is Luke Devereaux, and Dolph Lundgren is Sergeant Andrew Scott, two soldiers who kill each other in Vietnam and are then brought back to life 25 years later for a secret government program known as Unisols. They're genetically enhanced, unstoppable killing machines with no memory, no feelings, and no free will. But on an anti-terrorist mission, Devereaux's memory starts to return and he escapes from the program. A superhuman chase across the country begins, with Sergeant Scott in unrelenting pursuit of the man who killed him. Devereaux heads for his home and a reunion with his unbelieving parents. There, Sergeant Scott corners him for the ultimate clash of the Titans.
I just want to eat.
This came out in 1992. I remember the first time I saw it, and they kill each other in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, both the stars are dead. Now what do we do? In this one, they explain away his accent because when he goes to see his parents, after he escapes the Unisol program, his mother has a French accent. So I guess that means he would have a French accent because his mom did. Sure.
Say goodnight, asshole.
Good night, asshole.
And they've made several sequels to this. I think Van Damme is in only 2 of them. And Dolph Lundgren is in one as well. I think I've seen one, but it was terrible. But this is a great movie, Universal Soldier. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And last but certainly not least is Lionheart. I love this movie. In this movie, he's just French. He's in the French Foreign Legion at the beginning. There's no cockamamie story about where his parents lived or if his parents have a French accent or if he's Cajun. He's just French.
You only have 6 months left in the Legion, Gautier. Don't make it 6 years.
In real life, Van Damme is Belgian, but they speak French there. Jean-Claude Van Damme stars as a soldier drawn into the world of modern-day gladiators fighting for the amusement of the rich in this fast-moving action thriller. Upon receiving news that his brother in Los Angeles is seriously injured, Leon Gautier, Van Damme, deserts the French Foreign Legion from a remote outpost in North Africa. Fleeing from 2 of the Legion's security force, who have orders to bring him back at any cost, Leon reluctantly turns to the illegal bare-knuckles underground fighting circuit to raise the money he needs to help his brother's family. This riveting action-adventure combines the raw power and charisma of Van Damme with the exciting world of no-holds-barred street fighting. I really like this movie a lot. It kind of has some parallels to Bloodsport a little bit. He's got 2 government agent guys chasing him the whole time, and he's doing these illegal fighting activities. And at the end, he has to fight this big giant guy who kills people. The acting, for the most part, is pretty damn terrible. The guy who played Tong Po in Bloodsport plays one of the henchman guys in this. The woman who plays Cynthia is terrible. Just terrible.
Let's get crazy.
And at the end, she wears this dress that I don't know how her boobs are staying in it, but they are. But I was just waiting for any second for a nipple to pop up, but it doesn't, sadly. I have 2 favorite scenes in this film. The first one is where he fights a guy in a kilt surrounded by cars and he's smashing him into hoods and everything. And he tries to choke him with the antenna. But it's just funny because he's fighting a guy in a kilt. And the other one is the fight at the end because his friend trainer just starts screaming his name for no reason right before he starts finally kicking the bad guy's ass. Lionheart. Again, if you haven't seen this one, if you haven't seen any of these, I recommend all of them. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. I just do. When the streets are a jungle, there can only be one king. Lionheart.
Look, it's on him, man. The whole bet's on Attila. Wrong bet.
That is going to do it for this edition of VHS Haul. If you're a Van Damme fan, let me know. Let me know what your favorite films of his are, or any other little quirks about Jean-Claude Van Damme that you love. I follow him on social media, on every social media. It's great. He's always doing something weird and crazy.
Run for your life! I'll cover you!
But until next time, I'll check you later.
See you next time.